Hey kids, it's Lisa here, and I'm so sorry for once again kind of dropping off the face of social media these past few weeks. I'm having a heck of a time these days. I'm feeling so full and rich in life, and there's so much going on. All this work that I'm doing in contemplative care and spiritual care from a kind of Buddhist, broad universe, love, expansion kind of perspective. So there's the work that I'm doing in my business, Calyx Contemplative, where I'm meeting with clients and having my mindfulness classes and doing mindful tarot. And then there's a new full-time gig now, 8 weeks into a full-time gig as a medical chaplain. So my university life behind me. There's still stuff that I'm doing in that world, but I'm working in the hospital, I'm meeting with clients, and trying to find a way just to be with the people I love, to get enough sleep, to eat, to exercise, to hang out with my puppy dogs, to put all the words and love out there into social media. And it's just proving it's hard. It's, fitting it all in. And in my, Zen Buddhist heart, it's like, I feel myself in this kind of grasping mode of like, I want, trying to pull stuff into my life. At the same time, this kind of movement toward, that's very real, toward more calm and equilibrium and equanimity. And trying not to be so fucking crazy all the time, This is a lifetime journey. Anyway, so I'm taking a day to recharge and renew and reconnect. And I'm on the Oregon coast. Let me see if I can show you a little bit of where I am. That's the ocean. It's looking a little funky from the window screen. But it's, this glorious, glorious fall day, just blue and sort of 65 degrees, crisp, the conifers, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, what's not to love? So, I wanted to do a kind of, it's really a first impressions video of a deck that I acquired about a month ago off eBay, and I hadn't looked at it until today. So it's already unboxed, and I put the cards in order and discovered that some of the cards have been written on, which is just heartbreaking because it's a beautiful deck. Pamela Eakins, Tarot of the Spirit, 1992. Her mother, Joyce Eakins, is the artist. Pamela calls herself the scribe. So I think the ideas were coming from her. And there was a companion book that was, I don't know if the deck and the book ever came out in one box set. The companion book is also 1992. Both are still in print, both the deck and the companion book. And if you buy a modern copy of this deck, it comes with a transparent card that has the Kabbalistic Tree of Life imprinted on it, and you can lay that card on any one of the tarot cards and kind of read the imagery that way. This is a deck that it feels like a Crowley, it feels like a crossbreed, cross mingling, there's a word here that I can't remember, between a hybrid, there's a word, between a kind of Rider-Waite-Smith imagery and Crowley Harris, the tote deck. It feels like a blend between those two. And I'm not sure how conscious that was. I mean, what Eakins was trying to do, I think, was as a kind of Western Kabbalistic esotericist, Freemason, bringing in the tree of life, the Kabbalistic imagery, resonances, meanings, through a kind of Jungian archetypal, Western deep psychology kind of perspective, heavily influenced by Waite-Smith imagery. And you'll see as you look at the cards that it feels very also Frieda Harris-y in a lot of the artwork. So it's a really interesting blend. I have not worked with this deck. I have known about it for a long time and have been kind of interested in it. And I kind of want to dive into it. My projects now, I really want to dive into the the Crowley-Harris deck, the tote deck, which I'm calling the Crowley-Harris deck because we say Waite-Smith. So shouldn't we call the tote deck Crowley-Harris, giving Frieda Harris the same weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, weight, as Aleister Crowley? And do we really want to call it the tote deck, particularly because none of us can agree on how to pronounce that word, thoth, toth, tote. Anyway, that was a digression. I shall return to my key point. So I have all these projects I want to do, as I was saying, good Zen Buddhist that I am, just wanting to chomp the world and do, eat more and more projects, do more and more stuff. Also wanting to find equilibrium. But I want to study the Crowley-Harris deck. I want to study Minchiate and really think about Jessica Crispin's Spolia Tarot deck. And I'd like to explore this deck. I'm interested in it. So that's a lot of projects. That's a lot of projects for one girl. We'll see where I go next. But this is a deck that I've known about for a while. These are the backings, but haven't dived into. It's very idiosyncratic, and I think, it's not so idiosyncratic, but I think it, if you really go into Eakins' discussions, she's really trying to imagine, this is sort of the title card, she's really trying to imagine a way for the tarot to help us get to the heart of the mysteries and to sort of really work with the soul in that kind of Jungian sense of soul work, of the imagination, of intuition, of archetype. By the way, when you see this, you start to realize how the tarot of the she, how Emily Carding's deck is probably pretty influenced by this deck. I love the palette, and I love some of the imagery. See how it's this Waite-Smith, but then there's this kind of really trippy hiddenness. Ever noticed how the Empress is often just not that interesting a card? It just kind of ends up being Earth Mothery. I quite like that Emperor. And I like that Hierophant because he looks kind, even though he's got his two little acolytes. But you can see the Crowley-Harris kind of influence here. Pretty traditional Chariot card. Strength, right? So it's not lust. It's the Waite-Smith numbering. Wheel of Fortune. I love the hand. This idea of us holding fortune in the palm of the hand. Justice is karma. That's become kind of a traditional reading of that card, I think. The Hanged Man. And I really see the tote deck in a lot of this. Death. Temperance. A lot of kind of Tao imagery here. That sort of, it feels very Taoist to me. Quite traditional Devil. The Tower. It's really beautiful. I think Joyce Eakins, the mother's artwork is really beautiful. And one of the reasons I wanted this sort of vintage version, which I didn't spend a whole lot on, is because it's got that Belgium Belgian Cartamundi cardstock, so not too glossy, just a little bit of varnish, really nice, crisp printing, crisp images. Okay, here we get all of the aces. Whoever, I don't know if it's a woman, but whoever had this deck before wrote on it, Pentacles, Diamonds, in case you were wondering. One of Earth, Form. The minors, I think, take us, cause and effect, so like karma in justice. The minors take us, like Emily Carding's Tarot of the She, kind of take us on a journey of, and very much Kabbalistically, a journey of creation and emanation and how spirit gets into matter. 3 of Earth works, 4 of Earth power. So these, really the nadir, 5 of Earth. Nadir is like the bottom, right? It's kind of an interesting way to think about the 5 of Pentacles. I think I started a thought there, which I didn't finish. The Garden. I think this is a very, even if you don't want to get sort of Kabbalistic, and even if you aren't necessarily using the tarot, I pulled my computer, as a deep meditative tool. Oh, I love this. This is the image that's often on the cover. Sister Earth. Even if you don't want to use the deck as a kind of self-realization meditative tool, or you don't really want to think about the kind of Kabbalistic stuff, I think that the way that Eakins is interpreting Waite Smith imagery can be really helpful. It breaks my heart that she wrote on the Mother Earth. Notice how the courts have a kind of, are reinterpreted through family. I really like this King of Pentacles. And I love her aces. 1 of Fire, Force. 2 of Fire, Convergence, which seems just really right on for me. Birth of Light, 3 of Fire. So, even as just a kind of way into thinking about Waite Smith, this deck feels really helpful. What did she write on this? Wands, 5 of Fire, Wands, in case you were wondering. 6 of Fire. Courage. So I think the key words, I love that for the lightning path, for the 8 of Wands, 8 of Fire. Eye of Fire for the 9 of Wands. That's really interesting. The key words I think are tied to the Kabbalistic interpretations. Sister Fire. Isn't that beautiful? Brother Fire. Mother Fire. Father Fire. So I think more, this again, sort of very Kabbalistic, but the brother and the father kind of both have a knightsy feel to them, which I think is what happens in the Crowley deck as well. I don't understand Sacred Chord. Stream of Love. The Flood. As the 4 of Cups, that's really, really neat. And Spilling. I think I love this as an interpretation of the 5 of Cups. What does it mean for our vessels to be overturned? Faith for the 6 of Cups. If you think about this in terms of the traditional Waite Smith and the children and nostalgia, how our faith is activated through memory, through reflection and recollection. 7 of Water, 8 of Water, Still Waters, which is really different from the kind of traditional 8 of Cups, that sort of renunciation sense of that card. Rainbow Mirror, 9 of Water. And the Fountain of Love. This is beautiful. Brother Water. Yeah, I'm going to have to get another version of this deck that doesn't have writing on it because that's beautiful. Dawn, one of wind, because I can tell that I want to work with this deck. And I think, that the Five of Wind, fear. Think about the traditional Waite-Smith Five of Swords, and think of that as a card of fear, that kind of the victor who has, has kind of totally vanquished and humiliated those he has conquered. The fear that is expressed in that position. Five of Wind. Why am I at 10? Six of Wind. Seven of Wind. Many tongues. The Seven of Swords is a card I often have a hard time with, so that's interesting. Eight of Wind. Nine of Wind. 10 of Wind. Whoops. 10 of Wind. Sorry, I'm doing this in my iPad, so everything's reversed. Two of Wind. Oh, I guess I missed that one. Sorry. These were sort of in order, but clearly not that in order. Brother Wind. Mother Wind. Father Wind. So, not a deck that people talk a lot about much. It reminds me, obviously of the Crowley Harris, as I've said before, the tote deck. But it also reminds me, and of the Tarot of the She, it also reminds me of the Spiral Tarot, which is another somewhat undersung tarot deck from the 90s. I love these, I love these 1990s decks. There's like, well, I love all the decks. I was going to say, there are these decades that produce such wonderful decks, but basically, they're all wonderful. Okay, over and out. Lisa signing out now before I just mumble and say more ridiculous things. Thank you for your practice, everyone.